What is ADHD and how is it medically defined? According to NHS, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder changes people's behaviour. I think it can make you less able to concentrate, it can make you more fidgety. There's a host of things it can do. And is that how you would define it? And is that your experience of ADHD? You should really have had my girlfriend here because she'd tell you all the problems with me. I really struggle to concentrate, always have since like back at school. You can't stay still for very long. You know, stuff with like emotions, it can sort of go a bit like that. But yeah, two of the biggest things are not being able to concentrate and fidgeting. I really wanted to know what you thought about ADHD. When did you first hear about it? What was your initial understanding of what it meant? I first heard about ADHD when I was at school. My understanding of it back then was a lot different to what it is now. I thought it was like people bouncing off the walls. It becomes a lot more clear that I actually was showing quite a lot of signs of ADHD from a really young age. Did you ever hear the phrase naughty boy syndrome? Yeah, there was a lot of just for kids stuff where people would be like, oh, it's just... Also, there's a lot of boy stuff as well, which actually I found out there's 50% women as well. I got sent out of school a lot, out of class a lot. And I was never bad, by the way. I want you to know that. We never like caused upset. There was never maliciousness in it. It was just like, it was distraction, causing distraction or being easily distracted. Did you know ADHD existed in adulthood? I didn't really know what ADHD was. God, I sound like I'm old. But like when we were kids, it was not really spoken about at all. So there wasn't really any visibility on it. So I wouldn't know. How does it feel to you to have ADHD? It feels really nice because I'm like, oh God, there's actually a reason why I'm the way I am. For example, with my girlfriend, she would tell me, you just don't concentrate when I'm talking to you, right? Like that's not an excuse for me to be like, well, I've got ADHD, I still want to try. But it's nice to know that there is something happening in my brain that might be different from other people. And it's not just me being a dick. Because a lot of the time I just thought I was a dick. I'm glad we're not a dick. I mean, I probably can be a dick. Do you think it was a good thing or a bad thing? I think it's helped me get to where I am today. In the industry that I'm in, I've fallen into a career that I absolutely love. And I am me, and I'm 30 now. And I've got this far, and that's okay. But if you were to ask me after I just failed everything at school, no prospects, didn't get to university, didn't have a degree, probably wasn't gonna be very good at an office job because I couldn't stay still, like, I don't know, I'd probably say it was a pretty bad thing. What was school like? I went to boarding school. I'm one of them. I got suspended like 4 times, but never expelled. Never expelled. I got in quite a lot of trouble. Sent out of school, talking in lectures. I did start a fire in a field once, but like that was because we were trying to cook marshmallows. It got out of control. And then I went to the river and tried to get my hand and pour it over the fire. And then I took my tracksuit off, because I was wearing tracksuit at the time, and then the tracksuit fell up in flames. And I got sent to the second master's study in my boxers. Looking back, can you see your symptoms, you know, the things that got you your diagnosis in your younger self? I kind of wish my teachers would have told me, or like, I'd gone for a test, but I don't even think they knew back then. I don't think people really knew what it was back then. Should we talk about exams and studying, though? How was that? I used to walk out of exams. I remember crying once when I was trying to do my homework. I'd open a textbook and I'd be like, right, well, it just seems to go in for everyone else. So I'll just open it and look at it, but nothing would like compute. And it was like my brain was thinking about other things whilst I was saying the words. And I remember crying, being like, why won't it go in? And I was like, why is it so hard for me to process things and it's not? And everyone else just seems to like, it used to really get to me. At any point, did you think there's something wrong with you or my brain doesn't work like everyone else's? I don't know, because I don't think school was made for people like me. What if I am actually trying, but I can't understand things the way you understand things? I don't think things would have really changed. Look at a textbook and fucking make it go in, Sam. And you'd be sitting there and be like, well, I can't. And you'd be like, well, you're getting suspended. You're like, but why? If you could go back and say something to your younger self, our younger self, specifically about ADHD, what would it be? It's not your fault. It should be the adults who are understanding that you're different, not you feeling like you're different. You're a good kid. But put that fire out and put some trousers on. So how did your symptoms impact your life after school and going into work? The beauty of school was that everything's kind of laid out in front of you. You have to follow the timetable and everything is set out for you. When you go into adult life, that's not the case anymore. That's why I got fired a few times, because I turned up late. Or also, like, I told a customer to fuck off once, which is bad, but he was a dick. Mate, I poured a beer and the head was a bit too big. It wasn't like that, it was like that. And then I got fired. But yeah, so I struggle with emotional control, I think. I struggled with timekeeping. I worked in an office for a little bit and it really wasn't for me. I actually went from office to bartender very quickly because at least bartender was on my feet. Were you ever worried that your behaviour would impact your career? Now, I know the answer to this. Back then I didn't give a shit because I didn't think I'd have one. I remember my mum freaking out, being like, you're not gonna get a job. And then it was literally at that point that me and Chelsea walked in. When did you first think you might have ADHD? Well, everyone kept telling me I had it. That's the reason we're even doing this. Someone told me I had it and then we went, should we film it? And here we are. Like, I kind of always thought there might be something slightly different about me, but I was like, again, it doesn't I'm happy. So I was like, I don't really feel like I need to. The only thing that was getting me a little bit was like, well, I want to become more of an adult. That was actually the main thing. I was like, I want to be able to pay bills on time. I want to be able to do the boring shit that I really struggle with. Like, if you struggle to, do something so meaningless as like pay a bill, how are you going to look after a child? I want to be a father at some point. I want to be a good one. I can't just forget to feed it. I wanted to just go on like the journey and I wanted to see what kind of person I could be if like I took the meds. Like, what would I be? Who would I be if I took the medication? Would I be an even better version of myself? And who doesn't want to try and like be the best version of themselves? And so as I've got older and as life be lifing a bit more, I've wanted to figure it out. When you first decided to go on this journey, did you have like a sit-down conversation with your partner to talk about it? No, my missus really, really wanted me to. She was over the moon. She was literally like, thank God you're finally gonna go and sort yourself out. Not like that, she's the most loving and caring person ever. Zara's her name, Sam, actually. We love her. But she was like, you are a struggle sometimes. And I was like, and I know I am. Like, I'm tough to live with. But like, there are loads of times that I'm like down, like really down, or loads of times where I'm way too up. And being around that level of energy all the time is not easy. And Zara, my girlfriend, she puts up with me. Like, I can't imagine life without her. It probably isn't easiest to live with someone with ADHD if you're neurotypical. Now let's talk about everyone's favorite topic, relationships. Did your symptoms impact your romantic life? A lot of it's like self-awareness. If like we're having an argument for other people, you got to put yourself in their shoes and be like, well, actually, I'm sorry. I would just bulldoze through life. 7 different business ideas in a day. I'd be like calling the agents and calling this person who can make that happen. It has to happen now, because if it doesn't, I lose the will and we're done. It's called hyperfocus. I'd be like, right, Zara, I need your help. And she'd be like, well, I'm doing something. I need it now. And she'd like drop what she's doing and like come and type it out for me. Zara is the best. Don't know how she ended up with you. What were your expectations for getting diagnosed, and did this match the reality? I thought you had to put like triangles in holes and stuff, and and like they hold up a piece of paper and it's got like a dog on it, and it's like, what do you see? It's like, I see a rabbit. And it's like, oh no, he's definitely got something up with him. Like, I thought it was that. A psychotherapist or like someone asking me about my life. She'd like watch me, which is weird, she had these piercing blue eyes. She was a White Walker, Game of Thrones, and she was like looking into my soul. And I was literally like, this is terrifying. But like, she would like watch me move and like click my fingers or like do stuff. That's how she actually diagnosed me with autism, because she was like, you got a tic. And she was like, there's certain things you do. She was like, you're on the spectrum. I was like, wow. Because I think we see these things as extremes. So we've all seen an extremely autistic person. We've seen an extremely ADHD person. But as you say, there is a spectrum. Then I went in, and then she was like, you got ADHD. And I was like, thank God. So I went in with nothing, came out. I have 3 things. I've got tic syndrome, which is like twitch and stuff, which I do a lot. And I've got, autistic, and I've got ADHD. So I went in with 3 things, went in with none, came out 3. Did you look into medication and all the side effects? Were you worried about that at all? I didn't like it. It gave me rushes. It did level me out, but it leveled me out in a way that I was like so wired. I took the lowest dose. I wasn't getting any more or less work done. I was like pacing, I was sweating. I was like not hungry, and I just didn't like it. And so I made the decision to not carry on. Even though I really didn't like it, I think there are more people who it positively affects than it doesn't. So I'm very lucky with the people that I'm with and the job that I do. I know there are a lot of people who don't enjoy the job that they do, who don't have the people around them who balance them out, who might be like, but the meds are the thing that helps. What was the biggest lesson you've learned so far in your journey with ADHD? Like there's just so much that we're in the dark about. Like we only know now that 50% are women. It was 90% men. And suddenly as soon as they went, what else do we not know? The hashtag ADHD has been searched 13 billion times on TikTok. Wow, that is crazy. 13 billion. This is probably one of the biggest things I've taken away from it. How expensive it is to go private. It's like $2,000. If you want to go and do it quickly, mate, and go see a private specialist. Do you know how long it takes in the NHS? Over a year, sometimes 2. How is anybody going to get diagnosed? So think how many people who are now adults who are like, well, I'm never going to get seen. That should change. Have you gone to any therapies for support? I did therapy in the documentary. You're talking about the same kind of stuff, but like everyone has different methods of handling things. And if you put all of them together, it's really, really interesting. What's the future look like for us? How does ADHD impact that? I think ADHD is going to impact my life till I'm dead. And I don't have a problem with that. I'm excited for the future. I'm glad I know I have it. I'm glad I know the coping mechanisms. I've got toys and stuff that I fiddle with. I've got like an alarm clock, the special alarm clock that I use to go and get tasks done. My girlfriend is aware now. My parents are aware. We can all work together to make it the best experience for everyone involved. What's one stereotype about ADHD in kids that you'd like to address? I just think that a lot of people who just don't do very well at school, and a lot of people who don't do very well at school have ADHD. I just feel like they probably just think they're shit. You're not shit. There are other things we're good at, and I don't think that schooling ever factors that in. I just think they should allow kids to express themselves. I think that if ADHD had been factored in and creativity in a different way had been factored into my schooling, I think I might be an archaeologist. Would you have a hat? Yeah, I think I would have been like Indiana Jones, mate, and a whip. I would have had a whip. At school, I knew that I loved old temples and myths and Troy and ancient Rome and the Colosseum and all this kind of stuff. Lots of people with ADHD describe elements of it to be a superpower. Have you discovered any positive symptoms? And did you notice that before your diagnosis? I call it my superpower a fair amount. I don't think I would be where I am now. I'm not saying again that I'm super successful, but I don't think I'd be as happy as I am or where I am now if I didn't like talking to people. I like entertaining people, and I think a lot of that does come from ADHD. Now, if anyone's struggling with their ADHD symptoms, what advice would you give them? Talk about it. The reason I don't go to therapy as much as I maybe would have is because I moan to my friends and family. A lot of people have ADHD. So if it's not the person you're talking to, it'll be their friend, or it'll be their sister or mum or brother or dad or cousin. It's everywhere. So talk about it. You'll get a lot more response than you think you do. Or TikTok it. Can you describe your ADHD in 3 words? Oh, exciting, despair, and powerful. Thanks for your time today, Sam. Well, it's your time too, mate. You're right. Let's get out of it. Let's get to the PlayStation, you legend.